In 1983, 38 IRA inmates broke out of the Maze prison, 10 miles from Belfast. It was the most audacious escape since Colditz. The Maze was reputedly Europe's most secure jail, a prison within an army camp.
There was this aura developing of, this was an impregnable fortress, the only way you get out of, jail. And in fact, of course, the British government and Maggie Thatcher were boasting about it. It was in a wooden box.
It was virtually impossible for any individual criminal to escape. But its designers hadn't accounted for a prison population who considered themselves an army.
One of the duties of a political prisoner is the escape. It's like shooting for the stars. It's like something that you've always really wanted, And what I wanted to do was to not be released, but to escape. It's great to be released, but I wanted to break the system. Use verbal aggression to put it across. You make sure they know this is an IRA operation. You make sure that they know you will act if you have to, but you won't act if you don't have to.
Key to the success of the plan was taking over the control room, which oversaw the block and communicated with the outside world.
The problem with the control room was that where he sat, you had an intercom, there was a panic button, there was a radio, and there was a telephone. Right, so he had all of those, which were within his reach. So it was crucial that he didn't make a move, and he was actually the person we were most worried about. He was the person we did not want in the control room, and the problem was there was a gap between me and him. He said, "Don't have him move. Get on the ground. This is an IRA operation. If you move, I'll shoot. If you do what I tell, you won't be hurt." He says, if anybody phones here, you ask them what the problem is, you then take 30 seconds, and whatever the problem is, you go back to them and say, look, that's been sorted. And he says, well, what if they don't believe me? And I says, John, you make them believe you. Your life depends on it. As this was happening, John Adams obviously seen his moment, and he reached out and closed the opaque door.
As the other prison officer was being overpowered, John Adams tried to raise the alarm. Kelly fired 2 shots, one of which hit Adams above the eye.
He was unconscious for, I'd say, about 30 seconds. And he woke up, and I had quite an extraordinary conversation with him around saying something like, what did you do that for? And he said, I don't know. I'm sorry, I just don't know why I did it. He says, can you get up? And I said, oh, no, you can't. I says, no, you're bleeding heavily. I will get you some help, but don't move from where you are. However, there was 2 shots fired, and the worry is that this is heard down at the front gate. I'm thinking about the thing could go entirely out of hand.
We then loaded up the lorry with escapees, and there was to be 38 prisoners in all. Gerry Kelly was the only prisoner that did not get into the back of the lorry. His job was to lie across the well of the lorry, below the legs of the driver.
That I would have a gun to his stomach, that if he went off, if he did anything wrong, if he did anything against what I said, then he would be shot.
Kelly and McFarlane remained Britain's most wanted. The escape had been a propaganda coup for the IRA and a personal affront to Margaret Thatcher. After months living undercover in rural Ireland, Kelly and McFarlane flew to the continent in January 1984 using false passports. Here they resumed their IRA activities with new identities.
In jail, The outside world is probably in its true sense of the word fantastic, because your memory of it is exaggerated. What it came home to me was I was actually out walking one day and had to stop at the lights and press the button. When I was walking across the street, it just hit me, you know, just one of those things. I just remember it very well. You know, flip me, I'm out. You know, I'm free. And it was as mundane as that. It wasn't anything extraordinary that happened. Being on the run, I mean, it can be a very lonely place. You're in Paris. Paris is whatever, 10 million people in it. You do not have friendships, you know, so you're like in the middle of a sea of people, but without relationships. You could have decided that you were going to make a life and decided to pull away from the struggle and decided to go and get a job and do all of that. But that was not my decision. My decision was to remain with the struggle. I had made some decisions which were impacting on very many lives, not just my own.
And I call the Junior Minister, Mr. Gerry Kelly.
I beg to move that the second stage of the Public Authorities Reform Bill be agreed. Concordia, the bill contains provisions relating to certain public bodies which are the responsibility of a number of departments.